Hey everyone, so today I'm coming to you from my classroom where I've just finished my first observed lesson. That is where somebody comes from the company that I work for to watch my lesson and to give me some feedback. At the end of the lesson, the observer came to me and said, I really wanted to give you some feedback for improvement, but I couldn't. And she was very, very happy with the lesson that she watched. So I wanted to make a video on how to absolutely nail an observation every single time. The first piece of advice I can give you is make sure that you give the observer what they want. This school is very different to the school that schools I've worked at in the past, because they have a very specific method that they want us to use, and they want the students to be speaking more than anything else. They also have something called the ask, answer, add model, and they love anything that involves the students interacting, changing groups, and they love drilling. So these were all considerations of mine when I sat down to make my lesson plan. So you've got to make sure that whatever it is the observer is looking for, that you provide that for them. If you're not sure, ask. Ask the observer what they would like to see, and then plan it into your lesson. You definitely won't regret it if you follow that piece of advice. Second of all, the examiner is not there, the observer is not there to trip you up. They're actually there to help you. And you can use observations as a means of development. Try not to be too much of a perfectionist. This is a trap that I fell into in the past, where I would focus only on the negative feedback and not enough on the positive feedback. The examiner, and again I say examiner, the observer is there to help you to develop. So take heart at the praise that they give you, and take note of the constructive criticism that you get, and you will definitely improve next time. The third piece of advice is to unleash your inner CELTA or inner TEFL online, or whatever it is that you've done. In observations, the observers are usually looking for some kind of technique. So I have certain techniques that I tend to pull out of the bag, especially in observed lessons. Things like instruction check questions, concept check questions, something that I might use sporadically, but I make sure that I get them into observed lessons. And that again comes back to what the observer is looking for. If you're doing a British Council inspection or any kind of formal observations, teaching technique is a good way to get yourself some brownie points. The fourth and final piece of advice is really difficult, and I actually have an entire teaching system built on this final point, but that is to make sure that way before the observation, you have built a good, strong rapport with your students. Today's observation was with the weaker of my two classes, which was a slight worry for me. And yet, when they saw that there was an observer in the room, they tried a lot harder. If you've got a good rapport with your students, then they want you to do well. They know why the observer is in the room, and they want to help you. And my students today were absolutely brilliant. As much credit deserves to go to them for the effort that they put in as to me for teaching and for planning and teaching the lesson. I hope that those points have been useful, and I hope that your next observation as a result is a little bit less stressful. One thing that I would like to finish with: if your school does not do observations, in my opinion, you've got two choices. Number one, suggest that they start doing observations, because as part of your professional development, you should be observing other teachers, and other teachers should be observing you. Some teachers think that if they work at a school where there's no observations, they've hit the jackpot. Actually, they really haven't. Sometimes someone can just give you one small idea from having observed your lesson that you then run with, and it grows into something that you really love doing in the classroom. The second option is go and find yourself a better school. Any school that's worth its salt should observe you at least once every term. That you shouldn't be going through your life as a teacher not being observed. I hope this video has been useful. I hope it's been informative, and I will be back tomorrow with another video. Take care.